Summit. I am so excited that we have Dr. Amy Beard here with us. She is amazing, has so much knowledge, and she is a woman of God, and that is what I love about her. So welcome.
Thanks for having me on this beautiful Friday morning.
It is so beautiful, and we are so excited that you're here, you guys. She is someone, well, you just tell us, what do you do?
So, most people know me as one of a few functional medicine practitioners in the state of Arkansas. I am started this journey long ago as a dietitian, that went back to medical school and became a family medicine doctor. Ended up in the ER, working in the ER though, and then wow, that turned into a concierge medicine practice. And then along the way, I was introduced to the world of functional medicine and was sold very quickly on it, especially once I started seeing how well it worked with helping my patients and myself. So, and then, here I am today with a telemedicine practice with health coaches and other functional medicine practitioners working with me, and all of us working together as a team to help people overcome their chronic health conditions.
I love it. I love it. And I thank you for doing that for the state of Arkansas, because we really need it here.
Yes.
So for everyone who's listening, I really want you to kind of expand your mind and kind of just be open-minded to kind of the things that we may talk about, because it may be different than the approach that you took before. But this is really how our bodies work, and it's the root of our bodies. So I just want you to expand your mind a little bit, just be open, and maybe you'll hear something that God has for you today. So Amy, I just am so passionate about this. So I was a heroin addict for about 10 years, and I wreaked havoc on my body. Like, I really killed my body. I did so much damage to it and so much hurt. But in my world, I say that there is hope for your body. Like, we were designed to come back to life. God designed us perfectly and gave us everything that we need. So what would you say, is there hope for other people's bodies in this, that have been through a life of torturing their body?
Absolutely, because like you as well, I have done a number of things to my body as well over the years. And I can tell you, if you give the body what it needs, remove the bad stuff it doesn't, and then give it time along with God's grace, you can recover.
Yes, you can recover. You can recover.
The body is amazing, and God didn't make mistakes with our bodies. He knew exactly what he was doing when he made them. And I am always amazed every day at what I learn about what our bodies can do. And seeing that in my patients, when you nourish them with what they need in mind, body, and soul, because it's all together, and sit back and give and allow them, the room to with their own journey, support them. But you got to have some patience, and you got to you got to do the work, right? You have to be compliant. It's amazing to see people just overcome all of these chronic issues they've dealt with for so long.
Right.
I mean, I've seen it firsthand. This is why I continue to do what I do.
It's my life is a testimony. I was like bedridden. Like, I could not get up out of bed. Like, my mental state, I couldn't tell you the difference between a nickel and a penny, like how much they were worth. Like, that's how just toxic my brain was.
Right.
And God told me, like, he's going to heal me as I was first, but I also had to walk alongside him and do the work. So what does that work look like? So if we're in this state, we're sober, but we still have so much anxiety, we still have so much depression, maybe we have chronic illnesses from the things we put in our body. Like, what's the beginning? What's the base for someone who has no idea?
Wow. So, as a functional medicine physician, I think in terms of root causes, right? Root causes and mediators. And sometimes, when we have patients who battle depression and anxiety, and I'm one of those people, I dealt with it for a long time, and it can still rear its ugly head when I get off track and I'm not doing the things I know I need to do. And so as a functional medicine doctor, we're looking at things as, your diet and your gut health, right? That plays a huge role in all of this. Your stress levels, your sleep, your toxin exposures, your hydration, your movement, your time outside in nature. There's a lot of things to consider. But it's not rocket science at the same time. Okay. Yeah. It's very simple. I say simple, sometimes it's not simple, but we're looking at those types of things, and everybody's different. Mm-hmm. So like when it comes to your diet and like food sensitivities per se, we see a lot of this. This is what I had and didn't realize until I was in my 30s, and was driving so much of my chronic issues and my depression, anxiety was I had food sensitivities I was completely unaware of. And then once I addressed that, my gut health improved, mm-hmm. Depression, anxiety got a lot better. Yeah. So, for me, it's gluten, casein, whey. Those food proteins caused me a lot of problems, in addition to a lot of other things. Okay. It wasn't just that, but that was one of many things that came together to form this perfect storm of chronic inflammation and mood issues. And so, what some people, it's different. Like this could be a poison for you, but this could be nourishing for someone else. Yeah. You have to
God designed us perfect. He knew what our bodies needed specifically. So you say food sensitivity. How do we know? What's a good way to find out those food sensitivities?
Yeah. So the gold standard in the functional medicine world is an elimination and reintroduction diet. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of allergy tests out there now where you can, send in a urine sample or poke your finger. I would discourage people from doing those. They're quite expensive to begin with, and they're going to give you a lot of false data, especially if you've got some gut permeability or leaky gut going on. And that's a whole other topic for another discussion. But, definitely an elimination reintroduction diet is gold standard. And we do that on almost all of our patients who have not ever completed one, because if the gut is not working, if there's a lot of what we call dysbiosis or imbalances of your gut microbiome, those bacterial, viral, and other biological things that inhabit your GI tract, if it's not happy, the rest of your body is not going to be happy. Right. Because your GI tract is your immune system, right? It's a huge component of your immune system. So we have to make sure that what is going on in there is working appropriately. And that means a lot of different things. Yes, your diet is a big part of that, but your emotional state is too. Chronic stress is, your sleep habits, the time you spend outside, all of that is impacting your gut health as well. So you have to push it all down the field at the same time. Yeah. It's a holistic approach.
It's a holistic approach. And I love that. I'm all about mind, body, soul, and we're physical and spiritual beings. So we can't miss the spiritual aspect of it either. It all has to be together.
Because every thought impacts every cell of your body.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what's going on in your gut and in your environment impacts
the brain. Yeah.
So it's a bi-directional connection, and you have to address both of those.
Okay. So food sensitivity, how do we do the elimination? Like if we were just to start at home, what does that look like?
Okay. That is a very complex, it's a complex strategy to use, but basically the gist of it is we are eliminating, and this is how we do it in my practice. We do it very differently than a lot of other people. We take a much more comprehensive approach because we want good data, but we're eliminating the foods that are most problematic for most people, being gluten, dairy, and there's various different components of dairy that are problematic for people, soy, corn, nuts. And then sometimes we can even include other things if we see some red flags, whether it is with nightshades or types of meat. If people have an alpha gal protein allergy, that's a different topic too. So anyway, we're eliminating these problematic foods from your diet for 30 days. And while we do that, we are also working on rehabbing your gut at the same time, making sure the gut lining is rehabbed and not leaky anymore, and we're trying to get some balance within that microbial community that resides in your colon and part of your small intestine. And so we're trying to get those guys happy at the same time. And then after those 30 days of eliminating all those foods, we start reintroducing them one at a time, and we do so in a very strategic fashion, and we allow at least 3 days between the reintroduction of any other type of a different food, because it can take up to 72 hours before your body responds to a food protein it does not like.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to allow plenty of time to see what might happen. We have our patients document any type of findings that they experience during that reintroduction phase, which takes about 30 days to complete. And so you can gather a lot of good data doing this, and you would be surprised at what you've been eating that you probably shouldn't have been, and could be contributing to a whole host of issues your whole life.
Whole life. So I go back to like before the addiction. So sometimes I say like we wreak havoc on our bodies and we do all this damage, but some of us got into addiction in the first place because of the depression and anxiety. And that was because of our contributed health, that we didn't even realize that our gut health was off. Everything was off from the moment we were born because it was passed on by our mother. So we've had it all of our lives. So now we're 25, 30, 40. We're really in the depths of it now that we had it. And now we did the addiction. And now, man, like we're really down for the count. So
and it's not just food sensitivities. I mean,
so much.
Just the fact that if you're a child who received a lot of antibiotics early on in life, that's going to really disrupt your GI microbiome. And you see a spiral of health issues start to develop when you have children who start taking antibiotics at an early age. Even as teenagers, and that's what I see in my patients as well. The onset of chronic conditions that either exacerbate or new ones come on the scene after these long courses of antibiotics, or even short courses. It just really depends on how susceptible you are to that. And then, the depression, the moodiness, the moods change because, a lot of people don't realize that, most of your serotonin and dopamine is made in your gut. Those are neurotransmitters. They're not made up here. They're made in your gut. Histamine, when your gut is unhappy, it produces a lot of histamine. Histamine will make you anxious.
And no one talks about it. No one talks about it. We never learn this ever. No one talks about the gut. It's a thing. It all starts here, right? That's what the world tells us. Or we need a pill to fix it. But if we fix down here, then everything else is going to flow properly and we will feel so much better. And not only on the inside, we're going to look so much better on the outside. Like your eyes are wider, your eyes are more clear, they're more blue or green, whatever color they are. So tell us a little bit about gut health, because we need to know. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's where we start with so many of our patients. And so gut health this is a topic that deserves like a 10-day course,
for sure.
There's so much going on in it. And so the gut is really, it's been called the second brain for good reason, because there's so many things that go on in it that impact your health systemically and your brain. There's like a highway that goes between your brain and your gut. And so that's why we focus so much on the microbiome, which a lot of people probably have heard of by now. So we have a GI microbiome, but we also have bacteria that reside on our eyes and our lungs, our urogenital tracts, on our skin. In fact, we have more bacterial cells than human cells by a factor of 10.
No way.
And we have evolved with these bugs, since day one, and and they do wonderful things for us if we're good to them. And so, and we have to be good to those bugs that reside in our colons and GI tracts, because they do some marvelous things for our immune system, our mental state, our endocrine system, our hormonal systems. You got to make sure they're happy. And so, of course, we've mentioned first diet. You can't feed your body inflammatory foods and expect it to perform well.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And most of the diet that most people consume these days is a very little nutritional value.
Yeah.
We're eating poison.
We're eating
literally.
poison 100%. And it's just normal. And so let's give people a little bit of hope. What have you seen? Because it's hard to change your diet. It's not an easy thing. It's like, feels like death when you're doing it. And it's a whole lifestyle change. So what's the hope on the other side with your clients? What have you seen with depression, anxiety, all of those things when they change their diet and they really stick to it?
It's for most people, and I'm not going to say everybody, but for most, they notice big differences in their moods.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's because, when you're putting good things in it and the gut starts responding in kind, your serotonin levels, start to rebalance, your neurotransmitters start to rebalance. And that's when you see the mood shifts, but just the reduction in inflammation as well, the inflammation to your brain, because if your gut's inflamed, your brain's inflamed.
Yeah.
And so, it doesn't take major changes. I'm not asking people to go out and eat kale every day. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I just want you to get off the processed foods and the added sugars, the high fructose corn syrup, and all those additives and preservatives. That's what's driving a lot of the inflammation as far as our food is concerned. You need to eat real food, and it needs to be quality food. We've gotten so far away from that because we're leading lives of convenience, right? We're all on the go. We're grabbing whatever's quick. We don't have time to cook or plan or prepare. So we're going through the drive-through at McDonald's, but yet we're taking our vitamin D supplement, That's not how it works. And so if I just tell people to just clean up your act, stop going through the fast food, the processed foods, eat real food. If it was not here 100 years ago, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
Yes. Okay. That's such a good example.
Our grandparents grew up organic.
Yeah.
They didn't have access to
They didn't have a choice.
Stuff. They ate out of their garden.
Yeah.
They ate out of their garden. It was organic, and they were better off for it.
Yeah. Because the anxiety numbers have spiked with everything. That's our environment too. So you talked a little bit about environment, and I know that I lived in a house with mold in it when I was younger, and I know 100% that was affecting me so much. So our environment matters, and also who we have around us as an environment. So what does that look like?
I'm glad you brought up mold, because mold, we ask all of our patients about possible mold exposures, because if you got mold present, your histamine levels are going to go through the roof. Yes. And guess what? It makes you anxious.
It makes you anxious and crazy and all the things. It does all the things.
It's toxic. Mold is toxic to your body.
Toxic. And I don't know, do you see it more in Arkansas than?
Because in humid areas, you tend to see it. But you can find it anywhere, even out in arid Colorado. People can still have mold problems.
Yeah,
I've been in homes out there that had it. So
and it's not always like physical. It's not something you can always see. It could be like up in the air ducts or places that you don't even know, but it's affecting you so much more than you even know about.
And some people are more susceptible to it than others. There's probably some genetic component to that. And just if your body is already overwhelmed with inflammation and you add mold on top of it, it's going to be,
it's bad.
You're going to have a worse case.
Yes, it's really bad. So what about the people that we have around us? Does this affect our health?
Absolutely. Of course.
Yeah.
Your circle of friends matters. Because they're going to influence you. And, we've all probably had those friends that we knew were a bad influence, but, they were funny. They were the life of the party. So we let them in, but they influenced you in negative ways. And then, of course, we all are aware of the toxic relationships that we've probably been in at one point or another, whether we chose that or we grew up in it and had no choice. We always ask about this with our patients because it's important. Those people around you matter. And so if they are and it really comes down to the individual. If you feel that they are bad for your health, probably need to limit your time around them.
Yeah.
And if they're not a positive influence, you may want to limit your time around them.
Right. I always say you want to immerse yourself in the healing. So your healing journey may take you to kind of step back and just immerse yourself in the healing and not be around those types of people anymore, and really step back and reset. And that may look like 6 months of really like immersing yourself in food, immersing yourself in listening to the right things that show you that you're going to heal, reading the stories of the Bible that say like healing is possible and God is willing and ready to heal you. He does not want you to live in that life of sickness. That's what Jesus died for. He died for us to be healthy, but we don't get to just do whatever we want and claim the cross to be healthy. We have to put in that work to receive those blessings. Yeah.
And he gave us, there are lots of health tidbits in the Bible. And my husband and I we've been going through it and just documenting all the health advice that the Bible offers. And I mean, really, God has laid out, he's made it, he didn't want to complicate this for us. He wants it to be easy. And I think we have missed the simplicity boat on this, and we've complicated our lives, and we've allowed a lot of things in there that have influenced us in negative ways. And so it really, for me, I've been working on this more and more about just simplifying my life in terms of my health, and doing those biblical and abiding by those biblical principles that I know he's put there, because he cares about our health.
Yeah.
Because we can't be good stewards and bring others to Christ if we're sick all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we want to be like an accurate representation of like who God is. He is the epitome of health. That is who he is, So I want to accurately represent like, hey, he wants health. He is health. He is healing. He is abundance. That's what he wants. So,
and he's also commanded us to take care of this temple of his.
It's a holy temple.
It's not our body. It's his.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to take care of it. When we take care of it, I think it brings us, we're closer to God.
Yeah.
And that's a great place to be, right? And when we're taking care of this temple and we're feeling healthy and our mind is healthy, that's when we shine. And that's when we show our light to the world.
Yes. Yes. You can't be a light with a bunch of toxins inside your body. You can be. Okay, you can be, but you shine brighter, so much brighter. When you walk in, you just shine everything because you're pouring out Jesus. You don't also have that weight holding you down of the toxins of the world, which is a weight. Literally.
Yes. And the toxicities can vary. It's not just, it's these things too. This little device right here, that's a whole other topic. And so, I don't know where I was about to go with that.
I mean,
but when you brought up toxins, I'm just like, man, that can come in so many different forms.
So many different forms. So that's another thing, like when you're trying to get healthy, putting this down and saying, okay, literally for the next 3 months, I'm doing a detox from literally my phone. And someone put the other day on Facebook that if you want to know what an addiction feels like, tell yourself you can't pick up your phone for 24 hours and see how many times you try and see how it affects the inside of you. That's literally what a opiate addiction would feel like to someone who's never felt that.
And while we're talking about this is something you really have to understand about your phone and the social media apps that you use on it. They were designed to increase your dopamine levels. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of addiction.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So yes, you can have it can come in the form of an opioid, but it can also come in the form of a social media app. The programmers have already told us that they designed these apps to increase your dopamine levels to keep you addicted to their use. And so it's increasing dopamine levels, which is a very excitatory neurotransmitter that can make people feel very, very anxious when they're using it a lot. And I have done a digital detox recently, and I loved it. And the reason I did it was because of that. I kept reaching for my phone. I would make sure my phone was with me. And I was like, this is not healthy.
Yeah.
I cannot let this dictate
Mhm.
my behavior. And so I put it away for a week. You know, I would use it to answer emails and post a social media post, and then I'd get rid of it. But I'm not gonna lie, the first couple of days was like, I saw myself reaching for it. I'm like, Amy,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
And so I will tell you that I did feel better being off of it. My sleep improved, I felt.
Yeah.
And I plan on doing it again next week because I
Mhm.
want to keep doing that for my body.
Right. It's so important. Even social media fast, even if it's not just your phone, but putting down just social media and just doing that, because that influences so much. It's like we talk about relationships and keeping those people around us that really lift us up, but yet those relationships on Facebook are way closer sometimes to us than even the people that surround us. So, and have more
Right.
influence on us. Yeah.
And even apps like Pinterest that you think are so benign, you know, like, oh, I'm just going to go on here and look at some home, you know, some home decor ideas. Well, it's again, it has also been programmed to increase your dopamine levels. It's like spinning it's like being at the casino or something. You're just kind of looking for that next idea. So I want people to start thinking about that when they're on their phones and how they feel. And are you tend not to be taking deep breaths when you're on it, and it just really makes you anxious, and you get into that fight or flight response on your phone.
You do. Man.
I'm not saying don't use your phone. They do have their place, but I find that a lot of people, including myself, are on them way too much. And I've wasted a lot of time on there when I should have been spending it elsewise. And that's something God has been speaking to my heart about.
Yes. If we could, we would do so much more for God. And this is me too. I would be at such a higher level in life if I put my phone down for the whole entire day. I would get so much more done for God. I would spend more time, even while I'm reading my Bible. Sometimes I'll check myself checking my phone, and I'm like, or I have my Bible here and my phone's above my Bible. And I'm like, oh man, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? This is about me and God, and my phone's in between the Bible and me.
I know, I've been there. I've been there. I'm like, I'm sorry, Lord, this was supposed to be our time. And look how easily I got distracted, because that's what this is for a lot of people. It's just a distraction. It's something to fill the void.
Yeah.
And you need to ask, what is this void that you're filling?
Yeah. For sure.
And ask God to help reveal that to you.
Yep.
Because He will.
And He will. You ask and you shall receive. He will tell you the void. And then if you go, how do I remove it? Like you said, what is that action step for me to remove it? And He'll also tell you that too. And man, sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes it's not something you want to do, but it's so worth it if you step on that other side of what He says. So you did talk a little bit about sleep too. So in addiction, this is how we all roll. I don't know why we do this, but we stay up till 3 a.m. And in our addiction, we probably slept till 1. But once we get a normal job and we're in the normal business, we're still staying up till 3 and we're waking up at 8 and going to work. We never reprogram that. So how important is that?
So yes, so sleep. Wow, this is one that it's right there with gut health. In fact, it's probably more important than gut health, because if you don't, I don't care how clean you're eating or how much you're exercising and doing all the right things, if you are not getting enough restorative sleep, your body cannot work right. That, sleep is when your body takes out the trash. It repairs itself. There's so much going on when we're sleeping and in those deep stages of sleep. So you have to make sure you're doing it, and you have to make sure that whatever you're doing in your life is going to help you get a good night's rest.
Yeah.
So I encourage people for a good night's rest is first and foremost, make sure, you're working on your gut health, because that's going to impact the quality of your sleep too. So we got to make sure we're cleaning that up at the same time, but also getting outside and exposing your retinas to the sunlight. That can help recalibrate, per se, your circadian rhythm. So we are made to be outside. We're not supposed to be inside underneath these artificial lights. We need to be exposing ourselves to the sunshine every day. And then making sure that we're not drinking lots of caffeine at night that could disrupt our sleep, not on these phones in the hours leading up to the time we're going to bed. So we always ask our patients to, like, if you're going to bed at 10, make sure you're off your phone by at least 7.
Yeah.
Or off your computer. No blue light exposure. And
Yeah.
the blue light gets emitted by these phones and your computers. And you don't want to be exposing your eyes to blue light in the evenings because it energizes your brain.
Yeah.
So that's why
and
a lot
TV
of people
too, right?
TVs,
too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we ask them to find some type of calming routine in the evenings, whether that is reading their Bible, reading a book, doing some type of hobby that is not exciting, spending, it could be very different things for different people, whatever floats your boat, but it needs to be something that has a calming effect on the body.
Yeah.
You want to be, want to be revving up your brain before bedtime.
Yeah.
Because it's going to disrupt your sleep. And we also ask that, keep your home cool. You sleep better when it's cold.
Okay.
And then eliminate as much of the light as possible in your room. You want it dark as possible, because even when your eyes are closed, your retinas can still pick up on light that's being emitted from the electronics in your room.
Yeah.
So we ask people to cover those up. If there's a little light on a TV or an alarm clock or some type of device, cover it up or get it out of your room. My cell phone does not go into my bedroom. There are no cell phones in the bedroom, no electronics in the bedroom. And so, and then we have to talk about, are your kids in the bed with you? Are your pets in the bed with you and keeping you up because they're moving around constantly? And the pet thing, I get it. Some find it very comforting to have their pets. Some people, it is a big distraction, and we have to talk about that. But you have to make sure that you take sleep seriously, because it can change your whole world. I mean, think about the night when you've not had a good night's rest and how bad you feel the next day.
And you feel awful. You feel awful.
And then when you have a good night's rest and you wake up feeling refreshed, you feel like you can take on anything.
You do. It's such a difference. So I talked about like my mental state of not being able to even like tell a difference between a penny and a nickel. And God really spoke to me and said, sleep is your first thing. And I allowed myself so much extra sleep. Anytime I could take a nap, I just took it, because God said, like, this is going to be your healing and you have to get that sleep. So sleep kind of is looked at like a downfall in the world, and you're a weaker person if you have to take that nap, or you're whatever, not as good as the next person if you're not working, or playing. And that sleep for me healed my entire body to where I was able to go into that next level, and I was able to really take my health seriously and start eating the foods, because I didn't want to get up and make a smoothie in the morning when I was already so tired from the night before. It's so much easier to drive through Starbucks and get a coffee and turn off those thoughts in my brain that I'm even tired. So
yes. And that's what I see a lot in my patients too, is people are shortchanging their sleep for various different reasons. They need to get up early so they can go work out.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. You're not going to shortchange yourself so you can get up and go work out. We've got to figure out how to do this so that you can get all your sleep. And if you need a nap during the day, take it. Your body is telling you need rest for whatever reason. Rest.
Yeah.
If you need, and I like people not to use, and I always ask people this: if you were not to set an alarm, how much longer would you sleep? And they're like, oh, I could probably sleep another 2 hours. I'm like, okay, you need more sleep.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to go to bed earlier right now. And it could just be a temporary measure that your body just happens to need a lot more rest right now, for whatever reason. But you've got to give your body the time it needs to recuperate, and that can differ among individuals and at different times in our lives, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of naps. I can take a power nap with the best of them.
Yes.
And if you're needing naps all the time, that is also a sign that you might not be getting restorative sleep as well.
For sure. All right, Amy, if you have any list of books that you would love people to know about, because I can see them behind you. I see that you have good resources for people. that they can take into their bed at night, that they can bring into their home. It's affordable. It's an easy way to get the knowledge from people who have the good wisdom like you. If you can send me those, when I send this video out, then I'll put it below, and there'll be a whole list of books that all of you can go and you can find the resources to help you get started on this health journey, help you start reducing that depression, reducing that anxiety, and really step into your healing. And Amy, thank you so much for being here today. And where can we find you? If someone wants to reach out to you, where can we find you?
So absolutely. And we have a website. It's simply amybeardmd.com is my website. There's a lot of good information on that, including a free ebook about gut health, where a lot of people like to kind of start. Yeah. It's a very good ebook. It's completely free. And I put out a lot of great information on Facebook. It's just Amy Beard MD, Instagram. And then we have a podcast called Self-Care is the New Healthcare, which is on Spotify and iTunes. And we also put the videos from that on YouTube. We've not done many in a while. We took a little bit of a break, but we're about to get back into the studio and start making a lot more podcasts, because they were very popular and people have been asking where we've been. So we're about to get back in the studio and tell you what needs to be told.
We are hungry for that. We're hungry for the real knowledge that Jesus speaks in the Bible. So excited to listen to those. And that's such an easy way to get it from your home, because some people may not have access to Arkansas to come find you, right, or just sometimes health can be expensive, and that's just the truth of it. But I have found that there's ways around that, and like books, podcasts, you can implement these things on your own at home. So if you don't have access to someone like Dr. Amy or someone around your area, that it is possible for you to do it, just you and Jesus. It is possible. So I want to give you that hope, and thank you so much for being here today. You are seriously such a delight. So thank you, thank you, thank you.